The date is January 15th, 1919, in Boston. It's an uncharacteristically warm day out, reaching a nice 46 degrees. The people of the North End were all outside soaking up the odd weather for the season. Kids would have lined the streets, playing little games like street baseball or hoop and stick. Their parents would be out busy running errands. Around 12:30, a low rumbling would be heard, which would mostly be ignored due to the busy elevated train track that cut through the neighborhood. Within a few minutes, the people of the neighborhood would realize something was seriously wrong. A great mass of sticky brown viscous liquid would flood the streets of the North End, turning what was meant to be a good day into a sugary tragedy for the denizens.
This feels like we're doing like a report on history class. This is what this feels like.
Yeah, a little bit. Well,
uh
if the viewers out there didn't realize by now, we are doing a video on the Great Molasses Flood.
yeah.
It's a
And
sorry.
and we're doing an experimentation where we kind of have a small script here.
Yeah, a little bit. Well,
Like the last one had like jack shit for scripting.
yeah. I mean, no, it's about the same for scripting.
Really.
Yeah, I just wanted to set up with a nice little story, but I like the story of
Great
the Great
Molasses Flood.
Molasses Flood. On its outset, it sounds very cartoony and stuff, but it when you dig in deep, it's a lot about like it's very specific to the time. I mean, companies, national companies, they were able to do whatever they want. They cutted corners. They would fuck around, and there was largely no consequence. And I think that really, like, if you think about it, that can be applied to today. So I thought it was a pretty poignant, you know, little story to tell people.
Yeah. Main difference is we don't have giant molasses silos in the middle of town anymore.
Yeah, instead we have data centers outside of towns sucking up their water. But I mean, it's the same different. I mean, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was that? Fuck. There was this one town outside of. It's like a throw away from like DFW or Weatherford that's
Mhm.
got a data center in it. And I've been hearing a lot about that. What was that one again?
Oh, I forget the name. Okay. Anyway, how could a large wave of molasses flood the north end of Boston? Well, on Commercial Street, the Purity Distilling Company housed a 50-foot tall and 90-foot wide tanker of molasses, which had held 2.3 million gallons of the sticky substance. Can you imagine 2.3 million gallons of molasses?
Probably not. No.
That's a lot of molasses.
In fact, I don't think I've ever seen like molasses in person before.
Really?
I've had things with molasses in it. Never really had molasses by itself or seen like a bottle of molasses before.
You know, my mom would make molasses cookies, and they were delicious.
That does actually sound pretty good. I wish I had molasses cookies.
They're very good. The tank
Have
was.
I have I
Go
have
ahead.
I ever told you about how oatmeal cookies are fucking the best?
Oatmeal cookies are the best.
That they are.
The ta-
Anyhow, as you're saying,
the tank was rather shoddily built. Locals had complained about the tank leaking the sugary substance since its construction in 1915. The neighborhood children would collect pails of it from small cracks along its hull. The tank was constructed from half-inch thick steel plating connected by rivets and vertical joints. The Purity Distilling Company had known about the leakage for months, but instead of repairing the cracks in the hull, they decided to paint the tank brown to match the molasses.
Oh,
That's like the most Looney Tunes ass shit I've heard in my life that a company has ever done. Hey,
and that does
hey
sound incredibly
Johnny.
silly.
Hey Johnny, this tank is leaking molasses. What do we do? Ah, paint it brown. No one will know the difference. It's silly.
It is very silly. Uh, was Boston? What did Boston really make with molasses at the time?
So
Like
molasses
I know it was
has
used for soda, but that's all I really remember.
multiple uses. It is sugar. It's a sugar product. So it was used as a sweetener in a lot of things. I mean, there's molasses cookies. I love molasses cookies. Um, but also they would distill it and turn it into ethanol for alcohol, alcoholic beverages, other things that needed alcohol. But also, get this, molasses was used for ammunition and other munitions.
Really now, how?
I don't exactly know the science behind it. I think ethanol is was used to make gunpowder, maybe, or maybe the
I mean,
shit.
the ethanol is pretty flammable, so it
What's
makes
the
a little
thing?
sense.
The cap, right?
The primer?
Yeah, the primer. I think ethanol was used for the primer or
Hmm.
something like that. I'm not an expert, so I could be completely wrong, but I believe it's used in the primer. So the reason why somewhere like Boston or something would have a massive tank of molasses is because it wasn't specifically used in cooking. This was considered industrial grade molasses, which is a kind of a
Oh,
silly thought. I mean, it's molasses, it's a sugary thing, so it is kind of a silly thought, but that's because it was used for the war effort. I mean, this is the early 19 or late 1910s. What was going on in Europe?
war.
War, and we were at the tail end of World War One. We were dragged into it. So yeah, pretty interesting. Due to the shoddy construction, lack of repairs, and the rapid change in weather, the rivets were stressed by over 1.8 times their limit. The thermal expansion of the cold molasses made the tank burst wide open, with witnesses reporting that the ground shook and rumbled as though a train were passing on the overhead track, which had cut through the neighborhood. Witnesses who were closer to the tank during its destruction claimed the air was filled with a crashing sound, which was then followed by a sound similar to machine gun fire as rivets shot out of the tank. I mean, how scary would that be? To be either working the train or what have you in this area and just hearing blam 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 blam
I
blam blam. I mean, that would be
mean,
scary.
it's Boston.
Well, yeah, but I think that would be pretty frightening.
Probably.
Frank McManus, a cop who had been patrolling the streets near the distillery, witnessed the tank burst open while checking in via a police call box.
Send all available. Let me redo that. Send all available rescue vehicles and personnel immediately, he yelled. And there's a wave of molasses coming down Commercial Street.
Molasses is about 12 pounds per gallon, meaning it is 40% denser than water. The destruction of the tank resulted in a wave of molasses that stood 25 feet high at its peak, moving at 35 miles per hour. That's insane. That's
That is rather terrifying.
just to put it into perspective, that's stronger than tsunamis. I just to put it into perspective. The force of this mass sent steel panels from the tank into the elevated railway and even momentarily tipped a train car. Nearby buildings were even swept off their foundations, being crumbled under the weight of the molasses. As your go.
Oh shoot, yeah, I was tabbed out. Anyhow, the buildings seemed to cringe up as though they were made of pasteboard. Boston Globe reported on the incident.
Here is a quote from Scientific American's The Science of the Great Molasses Flood.
A wave of molasses does not behave like a wave of water. Molasses is a non-Newtonian fluid, which means that its viscosity depends on the forces applied to it, as measured by shear rate. Consider non-Newtonian fluids such as toothpaste, ketchup, and whipped cream. In a stationary bottle, these fluids are thick and goopy and do not shift much if you tilt the container, this way and that. When you squeeze or smack the bottle, however, applying stress and increasing the shear rate, the fluids suddenly flow. Because of this physical property, a wave molasses is even more devastating than a typical tsunami. In 1919, the dense wall of syrup surging from its collapsed tank initially moved fast enough to sweep people up and demolish buildings, only to settle into a more gelatinous state that kept people trapped.
I mean, imagine being there when that happened. Like that's got to be scary.
Probably would be, yeah.
I mean, the death toll was not that much because the area of effect was fairly low. But I mean, imagine being there, like seeing that. What comes to mind is instead of like, a fluid or just some unthinking, you know, liquid, it's a monster. Kind of like a. Have you ever seen The Blob?
I have not. I've never seen the Blob.
Well, it's a movie.
How many people even seen the Blob?
It, well, the original Blob was very, very popular back in the day, and then the 1980s
Oh,
remake was also very popular in the 1980s. Um,
I don't watch enough movies.
I've watched the remake, very good movie. The Blob, it's essentially as the movie sounds. It's about this monster blob thing that's come down from Earth or something, and it's eating people. But as it eats people, it grows and grows and bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the end of the movie, it's this massive fucking. That's basically what this thing of molasses was. Now, of course, it didn't grow as it was eating things, but I mean, take a step back and imagine seeing that with your own eyes. You're just some chippa boy in the 1917. Ah, I'm walking down, and you just see that. And that's fucking scary as fuck.
Yeah, that does sound quite scary.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, anyway, um, Harold Dorley was one such man who witnessed the flood and survived to tell the tale. The 28-year-old man was working on the Boston and Worcester Street Railway during the mid-afternoon event. Once the tank had burst, the wave of brown mass rushed toward him. The Winchester Star reported in their paper that week.
Thundering and reeling within 5 feet of Dorley's private office door, up one flight, smashing the roof of the building with its heavy girders and belching forth nearly 3 million gallons of the sticky liquid 5 or 6 feet over the lower floor.
Dorley said to the Boston Post.
We were sitting there at work when there came the sound of a rumble. Instinctively, I knew what it was. Molasses tank on, I cried. The words were barely out when the avalanche came. We heard the crash of. Oh wait, I did read that right. We heard the rat. We heard the crash of steel. You laughed. We heard the crash of the steel tank as it hurled to the ground. The broken parts of the tank missed our shed only by a matter of inches.
Harold explained how he was saved by a brick wall that prevented the receiving shed from collapsing. He told the Boston Post,
We were trapped in the office. Beneath us surged the flood, sweeping everything before it. Men and horses about in the yard were caught up and tossed here and there like so many logs in a torrent.
I like your artistic take on who this guy is. you
Might as well.
you made him sound like a medieval, I don't know, street crier or something. Hear ye, the king is dead.
I mean, I've had a bunch of people tell me I could get into voice acting.
Yeah, you have an expressive voice.
That I do.
Anyway, luckily, Dorley escaped the flood alive with minimal injuries. His interviews with the papers at the time gave us first-hand accounts of the sticky tragedy that had befallen the North End that day. And I mean, like, put your imagination, like, imagine you were Dorley or something. That's what I while I was researching this, it sounds like such a funny little concept. Ooh, molasses flood. It like makes me slightly anxious, like thinking about it. I mean, imagine being one of those people. I keep saying that, but I mean,
I think it really was really quite fucked up, and it was very lucky that it happened in such a like isolated corner of Boston.
yeah, it's just
If it happened
man,
anywhere else, it would be like a national tragedy. Not that it wasn't a tragedy, but you know,
it's just such a scary idea. Just this huge brown, unstopping blob, just like rushing toward you. You can't run faster than it. Like what do? You accept your fate. Like what do you even do in that
I,
scenario?
I don't know. Probably dive for like a building or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wasn't there.
true, true.
I mean, it did sweep up buildings, but it's definitely a better idea than standing out in the open.
Yeah. While
Hmm.
the idea of the Great Molasses Flood at first sounds like a funny little event in U.S. history, the torrent caused a massive amount of damage to the area. Homes had been ripped from their foundations, belongings destroyed, memories washed away. On top of that, more tragically, 21 people were confirmed to have died in the flood, with more left injured. While I do not want to turn this video dour, I think it is only respectful to point out the names of those who died that day. And I do have a list. I will read it, if that's all right with you, Oliver.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like edit it in, but all right.
Um, there's Patrick Breen. He was 44. William Brogan, 61. What a awesome name too, Brogan.
How do you get the last name of Brogan?
I don't know.
Hmm.
John
Gotta find out.
Callahan. John Callahan, 43. Bridget. Oh, Bridget.
Bridget.
Yeah, I know. Bridget Claherty, 65. Stephen Claherty, 65. Maria Di Stasio, 10. William Duffy, 58. Peter Francis, 64. Flaminio Gariani, 37. What a name, too. Flaminio. What a name. Pascal Lentosca, 10. James Keneally, 48. Eric Laird, 17. George Leahy, 38. James Lennon, 64. Ralph Martin, 21. James McMullen, 46. Caesar Nicolo, 32. Thomas Noonan, 43. John Sieberlich, 69. I probably shouldn't do that.
You probably shouldn't.
Peter Shaughnessy, 18.
Shaughnessy.
Michael Sano, 78. Um, I, I looked through multiple articles trying to get names and stuff. This is the definitive list I could come up with. I don't know of any more that died or any less. There were more that were injured, and actually, the amount that were injured, it kind of changed from article to article. The range is about 45 injured, but I had seen some that were higher. I had seen some that were lower. Yeah, and I think that has to that more is in line with like the time. Nowadays we have a whole lot more like tools for data collecting. Back then they didn't. You know, so it could be more than 45. It could be less than 45. But that's generally the range. I say these names not to make people upset. I'm saying these names to remind everyone that while the molasses flood is an extraordinary kind of comical event, there were real people who passed due to it. Some of these people were fathers and grandfathers, mothers and grandmothers, some sons, some daughters. Young men with their whole lives ahead of them. Young women with their whole lives ahead of them. They died due to the negligence of the Purity Distilling Company. They knew about the leaks and not only ignored them, but they also actively hid them to save money.
I don't know. That's just a story as old as time, really.
Yeah, but I would say it's fairly poignant to today.
Just reminder. This probably should not need to be said, but like, if a company, if like putting a gun to your head and pulling the trigger, like saved a company, like say $1,000, they would do it, no questions asked.
Yes, and um, I'll say this: I fully believe we are in the second Gilded Age. And that's part of why I wanted to talk about the Great Molasses Flood. The Great Molasses Flood happened in the Gilded Age, like deep in the Gilded Age. Um, this was an age where this new idea or like concept called a national corporation, they were popping up, and um, they had so much power in a lot of these places they could get away with whatever they wanted, especially in the Wild West. And that's where um, like that's not where monopolies come from, but that they were popular back then, especially out in the West. I mean, look at the train yard monopolies; they were massive, and this is going into or yeah, this would be kind of like at the very beginning, like right before the Great Depression as well. So
Yeah,
um
I mean, we're already in a bit of a recession, ain't we?
yeah, so I just want to point out these little like commonalities between this story and stories like it and what's going on today. I mean, look at these AI companies. They're ruining ecosystems. They're ruining communities for people. In Michigan, a community got a plan to build a data center squashed, completely squashed. And OpenAI sued that community and forced the construction forward. They haven't started construction yet. There's still things that community can do. But the fact that they can do that, a community that doesn't want that, they voted against it, they got it successfully squashed, And this company throws money around and they have forced it to continue.
And do you know it's like the extremely fucked up thing about all of this? You know, all this destruction, all of this like underhanded tactics.
What?
AI doesn't even make profits. It's not profitable
No,
at
it's
all.
not.
It's
They're
not.
doing
They're
all of
only
this for
doing all.
speculation.
Yes, they're doing all of this horseshit not because it can, but it could potentially replace workforces. It can't
Exactly.
do that. It can't do that yet. It is far from doing that, but it could. And they're trying to like shove as much money into the industry as possible to try and get development as fast as possible so they can make that happen because it could potentially save them money.
And you
This
know,
is
and you know
and
what?
it just speaks to how fucking greedy these people are.
Yes. And you know what's ironic about that? There's
What?
a recent study that has shown that companies that have replaced real workers with AI have found out that the AI costs more than the average employee.
And the
That
reason they buy and and like and it's not like this is the AI companies sell them on this idea that hey, you could replace your workforce, and so many people bought into it, and they did not take even a fucking minute to actually look into it if it's like actually true. So all of these companies are just bleeding money for no reason, and also no one in the public like supports it at all. Nobody actually likes using AI. The only thing people like to use AI for is like dumb shit, and they're not going to pay money to do it.
yeah.
And
And
it's either that or like cheating in tests, which of course people gets cracked down on. You shouldn't do that.
yeah. And here's
So
here
it's just
here's the thing. Here's the thing. What's like we're starting to see. I mean, I go on the internet, I see generally less and less AI content. I still see it. I'm not going to say I don't see it at all. But I do generally see less. And when I do see it, it's like cringe like boomer memes or like some kid making a tung sahur edit, like shit like that. Okay? My workplace, I won't say where I work, but my workplace was for a tiny amount of time going to implement AI to help workflow, and they went back on that like nearly immediately because nobody in any of the locations liked it at all. Same thing with my girlfriend's workplace. They did the same exact thing happened. Or, for a while there, maybe about a year ago, last year, if you went to like a Taco Bell, there was an AI, an AI drive-through person. Nobody used it. Everybody would just fuck with it until they got a regular employee. So then they threw it out. I'm not going to sit here and say AI has no uses whatsoever because it does. I've found uses with AI, real tangible uses that can kind of help, like, um, say I get in a rut in research, okay? Say I get in a rut in research. AI can help me find where to look for things. I'm not using the summary. I'm not doing any of that shit because it's garbage at that. But it can give me links to articles. It can give me um, little stats that I can then check if it's right, or it can compile data. It's really good at that stuff. And that can be used in the workforce. That can be used for many jobs. But the things they want to use AI for, it's incredibly bad at. And it's because
yeah,
you
because
need neuroplasticity. You need like a human brain that's malleable. And artificial intelligence just is not that. It's just not.
Yeah, because the thing about AI is that it's good at doing in its current state. It's doing it's good at doing like one thing and one thing only, and that is organizing pre-existing information that you have fed it.
Exactly.
And it's not good at anything else. It's not good at it's not good at summarizing information. It's not good at, it's not good at helping you do a task. It's not good at anything except organizing information.
Exactly.
Like and the thing is, even then, the key to using AI well is you need a human to double check what it does because it's inherently unreliable. Like, for example, I don't know if you watch him, but I have watched a few videos by Louis Rossman.
Oh, I love
He's a
Louis
big
Rossman.
yeah, he's a big voice in like all the like against all the scummy shit that tech companies do.
Right to repair. That's his big
Yeah, right to
thing.
repair. Yeah, and he's an activist. And you'd think someone like that would despise AI to like down to its core. And granted, he does hate all the scummy shit that AI does, but he genuinely uses AI. But the thing is here is that what he uses AI for is that he feeds the AI his emails and he asks the AI to sort the emails using certain keywords, just basically control Ping his entire email list because it's way faster when he does it by himself. And he has stated that he double checks like it every time he double checks what it is doing.
Exactly.
Yes, because he
And
does run a repair shop. He gets a lot of emails all the time.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like AI has good uses. It does. It can take workflow and it can like clean it up a little bit. It's just that like do we need like 10 fucking massive data centers that suck up water for that? No, what we need it for is for AI generated fucking images and videos cuz that is where that's where all of the goddamn data goes to.
Because we need to free the human race from the burden of creating art.
Yeah.
You know,
So, yeah,
and
I
again, this is not to like serve any of the actual good uses we've stated it's for. It is because they want to replace their workforces and spend less money,
yes.
which it doesn't even fucking work. They keep doing
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. So now to pivot back to the molasses flood. I know that was a bit of a large pivot, but honestly, really not. Like if you look at the commonalities, like it really does resonate with the modern times. That the things that are happening right now. As I was researching it, I that came up more and more where I was like, man, that's kind of like happening right now. Like stuff like this is happening right now, and it goes further into the idea. Like I said earlier, I believe we're in a second Gilded Age. Basically, that means the people at the top are extremely rich, the economy's moving, but the people in the middle and at the bottom are being left behind. And like I'm worried that as time goes on, we'll make technological advancement and stuff. I'm worried that the technological advancement will be locked for the upper crust, and the people that are medium to low, they they aren't getting any of it or very little of it. That's what I'm worried about. But anyway, I digress. Now,
Yeah.
I for this last leg of the story, I want to talk about some of the heroes of the Great Molasses Flood, as well as the aftermath of it. Cadets from the USS Nantucket, a training ship that had been docked at a pier in Boston, painstakingly saved survivors and recovered those who had perished, along with the Boston police. The Red Cross had deployed a field hospital to tend to the injured and support the rescuers. As you'd assume, moving through the molasses and gathering people had been a very arduous task for the rescuers. Still, their valiant efforts had saved many, keeping the casualties to a minimum. A lawsuit, 119 people strong, had been brought against the United States Industrial Alcohol Company, which had bought Purity Distilling in 1917, in which the company claimed that the tanker had been blown up by anarchists. A court appointed auditor found USIA responsible, leading the company to pay $628,000 in damages.
which is a lot at the time.
Exactly, which is the equivalent of $12 million today. Door v. United States Industrial Alcohol Company went on to be a landmark case in the development of corporate regulations that keep companies in check today. The USIA did not rebuild the tanker. Instead, Langon Park, I don't know how to say that, Langon Park,
That is a weird name.
it is weird, sits in the area west of the bigger Puoplo Park. At the
What the
entry,
fuck are these park
yeah, I
names?
do not know. That does not sound like anything Bostonian.
Hmm. Anyhow,
At the entrance lies a plaque that commemorates the disaster and its victims. This is what the plaque states.
all right. On January 15th, 1999. On January
1999.
Shut up. On January 15th, 1919, a molasses tank at 529 Commercial Street exploded under pressure, killing 21 people. A 40-foot wave of molasses buckled the elevated of railroad tracks, crushed buildings, and inundated the neighborhood. Structural defects in the tank combined with unseasonably warm temperatures contributed to the disaster.
Yeah, that's the molasses flood. What were your thoughts, Oliver?
It was very unfortunate,
Oh yeah, it
but
was unfortunate, but like, just like, what you don't have any general
even
thoughts?
even beyond, frankly, the most notable thing about this disaster in particular is simply the fact that it was molasses of all things. But even beyond this, this is a tale as old as time. Just terrible things. A terrible thing happened that killed people that could have been entirely avoided if the companies in charge didn't cut corners where it mattered.
Exactly.
Like even beyond AI, like another example I can think of is we live in Texas. I'm allowed to. I should say that, right?
Well, I might bleep it out. Is this like specific to our state?
Yeah, the snow thing from a couple years ago.
Texas is a big place. I'll allow it.
Yeah, but anyhow, we live in Texas, and if you don't know, about like 3 years ago now, was it? Like 3 or 4 years ago, um, there was it was like in February, the entire power grid failed because it snowed, and meteorologists knew it was going to snow. It was like a damn near guarantee. Everyone knew it was going to snow, but the power companies did not take any precautions to prepare for snow. So just the entire power grid failed because Texas's power grid is basically completely enclosed within Texas. We cannot get any power from anywhere else. So the entire power grid failed, and for like a week and a half, no one in the state had any power at all. No working heaters, no working like fridges,
And
no running
and
water.
I don't want people to think, oh well, it was just a Texas winter. No, it was sub zero at times. It was freezing.
Yes, and
My
again,
family,
we had so much warning for this.
yeah, my family, we had to snuggle up together. I was probably, I think, 17 at the time. Does that sound right? 22 now.
Probably. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
I'll say I was like 16, 17 at the time. You know how like weird it is to be almost an adult having to snuggle up with your parents to keep warm because you don't want to die of, I mean, probably not die of hypothermia, but it's freezing, it's sub-zero, and you got no heat. Like, that's some medieval
And
ass shit. That shouldn't
I,
happen.
my family, for one, was incredibly lucky that our house happened to have a wooden stove.
Yeah.
I felt like, yeah, never mind. But anyhow, um, and if I wanted to charge my phone, I did have to like camp out in the fucking car.
Yeah. Oh, I remember
It
doing
was,
that. Yep.
yeah, it was, and it was completely avoidable. But the power companies that we completely rely on were like they cut corners, and you know the entire state was fucked. And of course, our governor left the state during this whole disaster
Yeah,
because he always does that shit.
Mr. Wheelchair Abbott left the state. He
Yes.
didn't leave the state. He left the country. Do you know where he went? He went to Mexico. I'm not
And this
even
isn't
kidding.
like an isolated incident, by the way. He does this shit all the time. Like
He did
last year,
this last year when it snowed
like nothing even happened that year yet. He left anyways. It's
because
like he could
people
sense the
were
pos.
people were predicting a possible snowmageddon too. So he left preemptively. He didn't even care. And he's still our governor. People of I don't want to disparage the good people of Texas. There's a lot of good people that live here. But what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing?
But anyhow, to get away from Texas specific problems, the point is that this shit happens all the time. It has happened a million times before, and it will happen a million times again. And
Yes,
the only thing that makes the molasses flood special is the fact that molasses was involved.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that was odd stories.
Yep.
Um
Y'all have a great rest of your day,
yeah, comment, like, all that stuff.
etc.
Bye.
Bye.